नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः तदा मह्यं ददाति सुपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंच कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपरिष्ठाय भूतलक्ष्मीते नामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपरिष्ठाय भूतलक्ष्मीते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनचारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। हरे Krishna. So thank you very much. So Uttarayan has begun, Sankranti has just occurred, Makar Sankranti. Sankranti means the sun moving from one sun sign to another sun sign. So the sun is now moved into the Makar Rashi. That is why it is known as Makar Sankranti. So that indicates the beginning of Uttarayan. Uttarayan is generally considered auspicious, especially for ritualistic activities. By the way, Uttarayan also indicates the time, the 1 year is of the humans is equal to 1 day of the devatas. So there is half day, half night, 6 months, 6 months. So that is also another way to look at it. Anyway, so it is considered ritualistically auspicious. Of course, for devotional service, anytime we remember Krishna, it is auspicious. External circumstances, situations can make the external environment favorable, but ultimately when we remember Krishna, all good fortune is there. But nonetheless, just so we are aware. So today we are discussing, continuing to discuss the 9th chapter. We discussed 9.2. Today we'll be discussing 9.3. This particular chapter is also an interesting chapter. It is entitled The Marriage of Sukanya and Chyavana Muni. Chyavana. Anyone has heard about Chyavana Muni? Anyone? Anyone has heard about Chyavanprash? I hope you have. At least those who are from India would have heard about it. Anyway, so you can research the connection later. So this is a very interesting story. In fact, this whole 9th canto is a very interesting collection of so many beautiful Puranic stories. And this canto is especially interesting because from a Manvantara perspective, it focuses on the current Manvantara, Vaivasvata Manvantara. In the 9th canto, first chapter, second chapter, we have already discussed how this particular Manvantara is known as Vaivasvata. Vaivasvat because the Manu for this Manvantara is the son of Vivasvana, the son of Surya Dev, whose name was Shraddha Deva. So Shraddha Deva is also known as Vaivasvata because he's the son of Vivasvan, and that's why the Manvantara is known as Vaivasvata Manvantara. This is the seventh Manvantara in this day of Brahma. So we are currently discussing the various descendants of Vaivasvat Manu. And the first chapter we started with the discussion of Sudyumna, who went through the challenges of male, female, male, female. Very interesting episode. Finally, he renounced and went to the forest. Then Vaivasvat Manu also performed further austerities and got 10 sons. And in our last class, we discussed the dynasties of the sons of Manu, and we began that topic of discussion of how, of who are these 10 sons and their high prominent characteristics and who were their descendants. So Puranas often focus on this topic of the genealogical table, from whom these descendants are coming, various families are coming, so that even all of us, we can trace our lineages to one of these lines. I'm not talking about Kshatriya line. Some of them are coming from lines of the sages. So the Brahmanas have a Gotra. Gotra is usually connected to a sage. So there are different genealogical lines. So this is, as we discussed earlier, the ninth canto discusses the genealogical lines of the Surya Vamsha and the Chandra Vamsha. Right now we are focusing on Surya Vamsha because Surya Vamsha means Vivasvan's son is Vaivasvat and his descendants are Surya Vamshis. But there is also a Chandra Vamsha coming in. Why? Because Sudyumna married. Sudyumna, who is the descendant of Vaivasvat Manu, the first progeny. When he became a woman, he married Buddha. Who is Buddha? The lord of Mercury, the planet Mercury. He is the son of Chandra. So descendants like Pururava come from that line. So that is the Chandra Vamsha. But we'll not, that topic is not discussed yet. It will be discussed later. So we are still on the Surya Vamsha. We are still talking about descendants of Vaivasvat Manvantara. In the last chapter, we discussed out of the 10 prominent sons, we discussed the descendants of 6. We discussed about Prashadhara, Dishta, Dhrishta, Karushaka, Narishyanta, and Kavi. There are 4 more to discuss, and out of the 4 more, in this particular chapter 9.3, we are going to be discussing a bit about the descendants of one of the 10 sons, whose name is Sharyati. So Sharyati is a very interesting story. It is said Sharyati was very, very learned in the Vedas. It is said he was completely aware of Vedic knowledge. And he was so established in Vedic knowledge, even this Angira, the descendants of Angira Muni, he taught them the art of performing Vedic sacrifices. He was so very learned. And this Maharaj Sharyati had a very, very beautiful daughter, whose name was Sukanya. One day, again, interesting story. 9th canto is full of a lot of interesting Puranic stories. One day, the king went to the forest along with his very beautiful and qualified daughter, Sukanya. And they went to the ashram of this great sage, Chyavana Muni. So the king was there and he was attending to some business. This daughter, Sukanya, along with her friends, she was roaming around in the ashram. She was collecting various kinds of fruits and flowers and berries. And suddenly she saw a place that it looked like an anthill and it had 2 holes. And in the 2 holes, she could see some glowing luminaries, something glowing inside it. She was so curious. Small holes that in that structure, which resembled like an anthill. So somehow the Bhagavatam says, by the act of as if induced by providence. Sometimes our fate drives us into something. We have no intention of doing something wrong. We just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and do something stupid which we will normally never do. So such things are often the inducements of providence. So Bhagavatam says, by the inducement of providence, somehow this girl Sukanya had the durbuddhi of taking a thorn, and in that hole she went and poked into that hole. As soon as she poked, I think she used two thorns and directly poked both these holes. Suddenly, blood started gushing out from those two small holes. Everyone was shocked. She shocked. She got, terrified. What is happening? And as soon as that happened, it is said, somehow by some mystical powers, all the soldiers of the king's entourage, whoever had gathered there along with the king, it is said they could neither pass urine nor stool. Their whole bodily functions were suspended. And when Sharyati understood this, he figured out something very wrong has happened. He started asking his ministers and other associates, what is it? Huh? Somebody has made some mistake. Why suddenly, it appears as if suddenly the bodily functions of my soldiers are suspended. And they started looking around trying to figure out what has gone wrong. Sukanya, being so fearful, she ran to her father and said, oh, father, sorry, it looks like I have made some mistake. I saw this hole and I saw something shining in it. I was just so curious without knowing, just to figure out. I just poked. Maharaj Sharyati became very scared. Oh God, what have you done? Let us go and see. Huh? What is it that you have done? So finally they find out that what has actually happened is that Chyavana Muni was meditating for a long period inside that anthill-like area. Huh? And those two luminaries were actually the eyes of Chyavana Muni. Can you imagine the shock and terror that it may have induced into Maharaj Sharyati and his daughter Sukanya? So the king was so scared because, when you offend a sage, and this is not just offense, this is blinding him. Can you imagine what kind of an offense? And he didn't go into his Rajya. He was just sitting in his own ashram and meditating. The king came with his entourage and went and poked him. This was a serious offense. And they were so scared. They were so worried that the sage will curse. So they begged forgiveness from Chyavana Muni. And Chyavana Muni, when he begged like this and he said, oh, basically he said something to the effect, oh, great sage, I'm so sorry, my daughter, not knowing, in a playful way she did this, it was a mistake, but we are so sorry, this happened. So Chyavana Muni asked a very interesting question to the king. Very interesting. He doesn't complain, he doesn't say anything. He just asks the king a question. Is your daughter married? And the king starts contemplating. Why is the sage asking me such a question? So when somebody asks such a question, either to a girl directly or to the father of the girl, or those who are intelligent will understand what the meaning is. So the king, understanding the situation and knowing the great offense that his daughter has done, understands the mind of the sage and he offers his daughter in Kanyadan to the sage. He says, "Oh, great sage, she has committed an offense. Let her serve you now, lifelong. I offer her to you as a Kanyadan." When it was offered, the sage became peaceful because he felt that it was appropriate remuneration to give his daughter in charity. Because it was not easy. I mean, to give a daughter, a princess in charity to a blind sage, and that too, Chavan Muni was not young. He was a very elderly sage who had become blind. So, of course, he was not feeling like that out of lust that he wants to marry, but he was thinking probably that, who will take care of me? Now I have become blind. I need somebody to take care of me. So, when he offers the daughter, says, okay, at least the daughter who is responsible for this will now have to compensate by taking care of me now that she has made me blind. So, in that way, the marriage of Chyavana Muni and Sukanya happened. So in one sense, this was a very odd and difficult situation for Sukanya. When princesses marry sages, their life is not easy. Life in the forest, in an ashram, and serving a great sage. Not particularly, it's a very fortunate situation to be in, but it's an austere life. It's a life of so much sacrifice and so much restraint and control, especially being the wife of a great sage. The king went home. Sukanya started staying with the sage, married of course after marriage, and then started serving him nicely. The Bhagavatam says, Chavan Muni, even though he's an exalted, very learned personality, he's a very irritable person by nature. So sometimes great souls are also show irritable tendencies. This is not to say that it is okay to be irritable, but there are some exceptions. Durvas Muni, irritable, quickly gets angered. Looks like Chyavana Muni also was in that category. Getting married to an irritable person is not easy. It's very difficult. But Sukanya was so mature in terms of her dealings with the great sage that according to his mood, she would serve him so nicely that she would always manage to keep him happy. So even though it was a difficult situation, it turned out that they were living nicely and happily together. She was serving Chavan Muni nicely, and Chavan Muni was also happy, and she was satisfied in being a chaste wife to her very learned, exalted husband. Nonetheless, it was an odd pair. Why odd pair? Very young, beautiful lady and an old, blind sage. Very learned, very powerful, but old and blind. Some time passed. Some time passed. They were living very happily, Sukanya and Chavan Muni. And they were, as a husband and wife, they had a very nice bonding. She was serving him nicely. At one time, the Ashwini Kumaras, the two Ashwini twins, who are the doctors of the Devatas, the doctors of the higher planets, the Devaloka, they happened to come to Chavan Muni's ashram. They offered obeisances to the great sage. And when they came to the great sage, Chavan Muni had an idea. Chavan Muni made a proposal to them. Very interesting proposal Chavan Muni makes. Chavan Muni says, I have a proposition to you. I have an offer. Mutually beneficial. I can give you something and you can give me something. What do I want from you? You are the physician of the Devatas. You are able to rejuvenate bodies. You have medical knowledge which on this earth nobody has. You have that kind of medical knowledge. So my request to you, Ashwini Kumaras, is you grant me a treatment or a medicine or whatever to make my body youthful again. Youthful and rejuvenated. So please arrange beauty and youth for me. Because, my wife, she's a very young girl. I look so ugly and I'm blind. Not fair to her. And perhaps by that time he has also developed some affection for her. So he was also thinking, I must court with her as in a young body. So in that way, both of us will be happy. Generally, young women will be attracted to a young male's body. So you grant me this as devatas, you can do. And what I will give you in return, Chavan Muni says, is I am a sage who's very learned in Vedic sacrifices. You two are being doctors of the devatas. As of now, you're not eligible to drink somaras in the heaven. You're not qualified. You're not in the tier 1 grade of the devatas. Tier 1 grade of the devatas. Somapa puta papaha. This very uh, rejuvenating, energy giving beverage, somaras, very intoxicating. Currently, you are ineligible to drink somaras, but I will give you a full pot of somaras. You want somaras, I want youth. Fair deal. So he proposes like that. Ashwini Kumara is very glad. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, we are already skilled. We can give you youth, and as devatas, as in the camp of the devatas, what can be a greater attainment for us? Besides drinking somaras. So the contract was signed. Then Ashwini Kumara said, "Come, let us go and take a dip in this particular lake." So all three of them, the two Ashwini Kumaras and Chavan Muni, went into the lake. They took a dip. The Bhagavatam doesn't mention what kind of uh, technology they use, some divine technology. And Chavan Muni, the Bhagavatam describes the Ashwini Kumaras held Chavan Muni. His body was old, it was diseased, loose skin on his body, white hair all over, his veins are all visible. Like that, they took him into the lake. They dipped into the lake, and when they came out, Sukanya was standing on the bank of the lake waiting to see what is going to happen. And suddenly she saw three beautiful young men emerged. Very beautiful features. All were nicely dressed, all were nicely decorated with garland of lotus and jewelry and everything. She's shocked. She was expecting her husband to be young, but suddenly three beautiful people came. Now, what the Ashwini Kumaras did is they made Chavan Muni young, but just to play some fun. They also took forms like that young Chavan Muni in a very beautiful, attractive form in such a way to test Sukanya that Sukanya couldn't identify which of these three is my husband. So they were just trying to test her whether she can identify her husband. But Sukanya couldn't. She wasn't a mystic. She was unable to identify. And she knew as a chaste lady she should not make mistake. If she makes a mistake and goes to somebody other than her husband, it would be a mistake. As a chaste lady, she shouldn't. So she actually took shelter of the Ashwini Kumaras and started praying to them. So when she prayed to the Ashwini Kumaras and the Ashwini Kumaras smiled, they realized that she is Sharnagat, so we should not test her anymore. Let us not put her into a Dharma Sankat. So anyway, so they revealed their own form and then they blessed her, and then the two Ashwini Kumars returned to the heavenly planets. Chavan Muni emerges from the water, young body, a young, handsome male, just nice as a couple, along with Sukanya. Sukanya is very happy, Chavan Muni is very happy. And they started, and they were already happy as a couple. Now they became even more happy living together as a couple. So, sometimes it is, this story. Sukanya did the right thing. Sukanya did not try to be extra smart and say, let me play a guessing game. Sometimes when one is very bewildered in life, sometimes rather than trying to act too smart, it is good to take shelter of the superiors. And sometimes it's good to even pray. I know I cannot figure this out. Can you please help me? The Lord and the great souls are kind. When they realize that we are genuinely seeking shelter with humility, they will make what seems extremely difficult. They will either uh, give us the necessary intelligence or they will make it easy. So Sukanya was at least smart in that regard. One should never be hesitant to take shelter and take a humble position in front of great souls or our elders. What to speak of the Supreme Lord, even the spiritual master. Because that is when mercy flows. Correct? Arjuna, in the Bhagavad Gita, when he was speaking to Sri Krishna, initially Arjuna was arguing, and Krishna wasn't saying anything. The instructions of the Bhagavad Gita began only when Arjuna says to Krishna, कार्पण्य दोषोपहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वाम धर्म सम्मूढ़ चेताः यश्रेयस्या निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेहं शादिमां त्वाम. I am bewildered. I was thinking I'll figure it out with my intelligence. I'm unable. I take shelter of you. I accept you as my Guru. Please instruct me what I should do. Then Krishna starts speaking. So if we really want mercy to flow, either from the Gurus, our spiritual seniors, our teachers, our elders, the Devatas, the Supreme Lord, and things are beyond our ability, beyond our capability. It's very nice. It's a good idea to present oneself. That's why you will see even present oneself as incapable and seeking their guidance and assistance. You will see also in the prayers of the great acharyas, the great souls, even when they pray to the Lord, even when they approach their spiritual master, what is the way they pray? Gopinath, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Mama Nivedana Suno Vishay Durjana Sada Kamarata Kichunahi Morogona. I am so fallen. I am so insignificant. I am unable to overcome your Maya. Please, somehow you save me. You saved even the demons. Please save me. A very humble position. That attracts Krishna's mercy. This kind of humility attracts Guru's mercy, attracts the blessings of our elders. If we take a very over smart attitude of approaching Guru, Krishna, superiors, oh, I can do. What is Maya? I can. Krishna, I will show you. I will impress you with my devotion. These kind of attitudes are dangerous. Because the power of the material energy is so high that sometimes we will be so fully bewildered by the material energy and not even realize how we have been taken for a ride. So there's an interesting lesson here also, how Sukanya in that situation took shelter and being pleased with her chastity. They were pleased not just by her taking shelter, but they were pleased by her chastity that she was unwilling to even guess. No. Please, you tell me, don't put me into this kind of a difficulty. So a very beautiful thing happened. Both of them, of course, Chyavana Muni also kept his part of the promise. He kept his part of he did the necessary sacrifice. He gave the Somara spot to the Ashwini Kumaras. By the way, it is mentioned that Indra became very upset when this happened. Because Indra has strict criteria. Only grade 1 employees of Indraloka can have access. It is in their pay package. grade 2 employees like doctors of the Devatas cannot get access to Somras. So he was very upset. But then, he didn't want to get into too much of a conflict with Chavan Muni. So finally the matter was settled. In fact, it is said that once the Soma Yajna was done and the full pot of Somaras was given to the Ashwini Kumaras, Indra was so angry that he took the Vajra to try to kill Chyavana Muni. How dare you try to do something to go against my system? Chyavana Muni was so powerful in his mystic yogic powers. When Indra was about to throw the Vajra, he paralyzed Indra's hand. Indra couldn't do anything. Then Indra came and he begged forgiveness. Okay, let us settle the matter. And the settling of the matter is, okay, we henceforth extend the eligibility for Somaras drinking also to these two physicians, the Ashwini Kumaras, as a special exception. So it is said after that time, Ashwini Kumaras also have a share in the Somaras drinking. There is also another very interesting episode that is mentioned. It is said after Sukanya and Chavan, after Chavan Rishi became young, one day Sharyati Maharaj, the father of Sukanya, came to visit Chavan Muni in his ashram. Came there and he saw his daughter Sukanya with a very young, beautiful man sporting around in a romantic way. And he became so shocked. Came and he started chastising his daughter. Oh, how dare you, just because you got an old husband, is this how you will behave? You are spoiling the name of the whole family. Why you are behaving in this lusty manner? And they both were laughing, and then they explained the whole story to Maharaj Sharyati. And of course, the king also became happy that what began as a disaster has ended in a very wonderful way. Both of them are happy. Chavan Rishi has also become young and beautiful, and his daughter Sukanya is also happy. So, in that way, the matter was settled, and Chavan Muni and Sukanya continued to stay happily with each other. So, that is the pastime that is mentioned in most of this chapter. There is another pastime which is briefly mentioned in the same chapter. We will quickly go through that. Another 10 shlokas, the last 10 shlokas of this chapter. So it is said, Maharaj Sharyati, we spoke about Sharyati's daughter Sukanya. Apart from the daughter Sukanya, Maharaj Sharyati had 3 sons. So he had 4 children. So 3 sons. Their names were Uttana Barhi, Anartha, and Bhuri Sena. Out of these 3 sons, this son Anartha, he had a son named Revata. And this Revata, King Revata, he ruled a kingdom which is known as Kushasthali. This Kushasthali is said to be a kingdom inside the ocean. Very interesting. And this King Revata had 100 sons. And one of those 100 sons, or rather the eldest of the 100 sons, was another great king, the son of Revata, who was named Kakudmi. So Kakudmi has a very interesting story. Anybody has heard about the name Kakudmi? Kakudmi, King Kakudmi, the son of Revata, he had a daughter whose name was Revati. Exceptionally beautiful, exceptionally qualified. She was so divinely endowed with such divine qualities that Maharaj Kakudmi couldn't find any person qualified to give his daughter. And he was thinking, Arey, Nobody in this world is qualified. But he doesn't want to keep his daughter unmarried. So what he did, okay, let me go and ask Lord Brahma, who is suitable husband to marry my daughter. So he took a trip to Brahmalok. Maharaj Takudmi took the trip to Brahmalok. So he went to Lord Brahma. And when he went to Brahmalok, it is said that Brahmaji was listening to one concert. There was some singing and dancing going on. So there was a small performance and they were waiting for the performance to get over so they'll get an audience with Lord Brahma. So in Brahmalok, that performance went on for say 45 minutes or so. In Brahmalok. So after that, they went to Brahmaji and they offered obeisances and he explained the situation to him. I have come here to seek your consultation. Please tell me who from the earth now I can get her married to. Brahmaji says, earth now? He says, in the 45 minutes that you have been on Brahmaloka, 27 Divya Yugas have passed. You came here at the beginning of the Manvantar, but 27 out of the 71 cycles of this Vaivasvat Manvantar have passed. All the people that you knew or you were thinking in your possible marriage list, whatever list you have come up with, should I choose this person? All have died. All are gone. Nobody is there. So you came to Brahmalok, but you didn't realize the time difference. In this 45 minutes, everybody is gone. So, oh yeah, I didn't realize that this is going to happen. So what should I do? So Brahmaji says, no problem. This is divine arrangement. Now at this time, quickly go to earth. Dwapar is going on in the 28th Yuga cycle. And the Supreme Lord Balram has appeared on earth. That Lord who is the giver of protection to his devotees, that Lord who is the giver of spiritual strength, who is endowed with all spiritual characters, by whose remembrance all auspiciousness is conferred upon the jivas, that Lord has appeared. And your daughter, there is no better match than Lord Balram. Please go down on earth and present your daughter, Lord Balaram. And don't wait longer for further discussion. Please go, otherwise that yuga will also pass away. So, being advised like that, Chakudmi quickly came down on earth, and true enough, like Lord Brahma said, everything had changed. 27 yuga cycles had passed. And it is said, then he approached Lord Baladev and presented Revati to him. And they got married. Of course, there's a very detailed story around that is not described here. But as we all have heard, when he approached Lord Balram, because it was Dwapar, all humans were much shorter because he was from the Satya Yuga of at the beginning of the Manvantar. So he was tall, his daughter was tall, and when Revati was presented to Balram, Balramji is looking at Revati like this. She was very tall, being from a previous Yuga, and Balram is like this. But nonetheless, when he presented her to him, Balram said, okay, no problem, I can fix all problems. And the Lord of spiritual strength, he took his plow, put it on her shoulder and pulled her down. Just like we go to an image on our laptop and resize it, no? Go to percentage, 100%, we just put 50, the image will become this size. So Lord Balram, he just put his plow and pulled her down and she got resized until she became just the right size to be his wife in that particular yuga. And then they got married. In that way, Balaram married Revati. After Kakudmi Maharaj did the Kanyadan of Revati to Balram, he said, now my responsibilities are done. Now I'm retiring. So he said, anyway, all my people that I knew, everybody has gone. Now what is there to go to kingdom? There is no kingdom, there is no nothing, there is no relative. Everybody is gone, 27 yuga cycles have gone. He just retired, he took Vanaprastha and he went to Badrikashram to perform austerities. That brings us to the end of this chapter. where the descendants of Maharaj Sharyati have been described. Okay. So summarily, up to now, amongst the 10 descendants, of course, Sudyumna is the first, and then 10 sons. Sudyumna's story we heard, and then 10 sons. Out of the 10 sons, now we have discussed 7. And the next chapter, we'll discuss about the son, Nabhaga, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to pause here. Any questions or comments we can take?
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam Prabhuji.
Hari Bol, Santanam Prabhu. So nice to see you. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. After a long time, I got the opportunity to share.
Yes, Prabhu. Tell me.
Yeah. This Chyavana Muni got back his eyes, Prabhuji, after he got his youth and other thing. Is it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, sometimes what begins with a disaster may end up. That's why we never know what is the bigger plan. Of course, even in the life of devotees, sometimes when Krishna puts us through various situations, sometimes it may appear that Krishna is taking things away. But Krishna is sometimes preparing us or leading us into something even more beautiful. More beautiful, not necessarily materially, but more beautiful in terms of uh, with the ultimate purpose of bringing us closer and closer to Him. Of course, sometimes may also be material things, because if helping our material situation helps our Krishna consciousness in the stage that we are in, Krishna may do that also. That is up to Krishna's discretion. Whatever works, Krishna's policy is whatever works. So yeah, it seems so. Yeah, he got a nice rejuvenated body. So Sukanya was blessed because an irritable old husband, she served very faithfully and very nicely. So she was rewarded as a chaste wife. She got in the same life, the same husband in a youthful body. Wonderful.
One more point, Prabhuji. Taking shelter at our elders and devatas, like that you were saying. Like we used to say, once we take shelter of Krishna, and is it can we take shelter at every place? Like how we need to behave?
Those who are representatives of Krishna, we can take shelter of them. Take shelter means what? Of course, in this context, what I meant is take a humble position in front of them. Those who are truly representatives of Krishna, we can take shelter. The Guru, the Vaishnavas, because they are representing Krishna's will. Their shelter makes sense, right? Because there, when you say shelter, it means that, I'm ready to follow anything you say. But what I meant in the context of this, I meant in a broader way. So that, yes, but if the person is just an elder, not necessarily a Vaishnava who understands higher philosophy, then sometimes because we have to follow the protocol of the relationships, it is so much trouble and problems can be solved simply by taking a humble position in front of them. Sometimes what happens as sadhakas, when we become devotees, we start thinking I have become a very great person because the shastras and everyone goes, oh, devotee of the Lord, so great. We start thinking we are very great. When we start thinking we are very great, we think all my relatives and friends are useless. And even with our elders, we sometimes don't treat them well, and we end up, being abrasive in our relationships. We take a condescending attitude towards them. We are rude. We try to talk them down. If you understand what I'm not saying that we have to lie or say something against Krishna consciousness, but we should know what is the proper etiquette in dealing with those who are elder to us. Our elders can be our parents, our uncles, our grandparents. Our elders can be our teachers in schools and colleges. There are so many categories of elders. So wherever we are in those kind of relationships, we have to show the proper protocol. And sometimes when these kind of conflicts happen, and I'm not talking about a spiritual conflict necessarily, there are so many things which crop up in our day-to-day interactions. Sometimes or very often, problems are resolved by not taking a confrontational approach to the matter. For a person who's in a younger position, sometimes even if they have made a mistake and the other person is really upset, it's okay to take a lower position. You understand? Sometimes, those who are younger, they say, no, actually it was not my mistake. Why he's feeling like this? No, I have to argue and I have to fight and I have to. But we are not interested in what is right, what is technically right. We are interested in what is the higher good. The higher good is to maintain the relationship and not disturb the relationship. And taking a humble position, even if we are very great, is not a problem. Sometimes some people feel, oh, I am a great devotee. Why I should take a humble position in front of somebody who's a materialistic person, according to our assessment. But Lord Chaitanya has offered obeisances even to Mayavadis because it served a particular purpose. And he has transformed the heart of so many by taking a humble position. Even when he defeated Keshav Kashmiri, he took a humble position. So humility is a very, very powerful weapon. And for us, at least most of us, we are so insignificant as sadhakas. What is there that we should be proud with anybody for that matter? We are not even greatly accomplished. At least I am not. So in front of elders, sometimes even if we believe we have not made mistake, there's no harm in saying I'm sorry and please them. And this is established in so many Shastric stories, in the stories of Acharyas. We don't have so much time. Actually, we have 10 minutes. We can discuss a bit. Jiva Goswami. There are so many beautiful stories of Jiva Goswami is a perfected devotee. There are stories where Jiva Goswami was chastised by Sanatana Goswami because Sanatana Goswami thought that Jiva Goswami was rude to someone. But actually, Jiva Goswami was just trying to protect the honor of Sanatana Goswami. He was not arguing for his own ego. He was correcting to protect the honor of his guru. But Sanatana Goswami was very angry. You are proud. You don't deserve to stay in Vrindavan. Get out. And in that situation, he didn't argue. Okay, I'm not saying in every situation we have to do like this. I'm just giving that example. What to do in what situation we have to use our intelligence. We cannot just blindly follow something. This doesn't mean when we are not, every time we have to say, we have to use intelligence. That is why we are given intelligence. We have to know what to do in what situation. But sometimes, if we think the matter can be resolved by taking a humble position, then it's good because you see, those who are superior, by their blessings, so many things can be achieved. And by their good graces, material or spiritual, so many things become easy and convenient for us, materially and spiritually. So many things become enabled by us. So why should we take a confrontational approach just because of our petty ego? So I remember one episode I think I mentioned this earlier, but once I lost my japa beads. I was traveling in a train. I kept my initiated japa beads in a bag. That bag I kept in the train on the top rack. And when I got down from the train, I forgot to take my bag. And obviously the train went and then I complained to the train authorities and tried to find, but I couldn't get it. Then I went to my spiritual master. I said, Maharaj, I lost my initiated beads. Please give me another set of beads. Maharaj was upset. not taking care of your beads properly. You're not valuing the beads. And I was trying to argue, not argue, but trying to defend myself. No, Maharaj, actually, it was not my mistake. It was in the bag. My bag also got lost. No, you are not valuing your beads. You are not. He was, even though internally I was not convinced that I was wrong. Actually, I was wrong. I later understood why he was saying what he was saying. That's a different point. But then I realized it is good to take a humble position in front of the spiritual master. That yes, Maharaj, sorry, it is my mistake. And then Maharaj became very gracious. He appreciated, and it was not at all an egoic thing. He appreciated that I took a humble position, even though intellectually I was not agreeing. And the point actually what he was trying to say is, if you actually in your heart valued your bead so much, you would have been extra careful to not forget your bag. Actually, that was what he was trying to say. And I was taking a different line of argument. Anyway, so eventually he made me pay a penalty. I had to pay my 1 month salary to get another set of beads. But that's a different episode. But I've seen that, oftentimes, and this happens very often with our seniors, and the experience is that when we take a humble position in front of our seniors, whether spiritual master, parents, or sometimes we take and we just continue to do the assigned duties properly, in due course they themselves understand that how we were not wrong. Even if at that time they perceive it to be wrong, it's good to not take a confrontational approach many times. Because when we start taking a confrontational approach, immediately the whole rational aspect, I'm talking especially in material relationships, get cast aside and it just becomes an egoic clash. How dare my son, my student, my employee speak to me like this? Then the whole matter goes in a totally different direction. So it is important that we know how to deal with various kinds of relationships. And sometimes it's okay. Somebody says you are wrong. Okay, no problem. I'm wrong. No problem. We don't have to defend ourselves for everything. We should know when to defend. We should know when not to defend. Okay, Prabhu, does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. And one more thing, the Somaras only for the qualified somewhere in Prabhupada's description. It is, I cannot able to recollect those who went to the
Somapa puta papaha. Those who drink the somaras. Yeah. So I don't know the detailed criteria, but the Bhagavatam says that at that time Ashwini Kumaras were not qualified. So there is some qualification. Of course, it seems that by doing certain yajnas, some powerful rishis were able to get somaras. But the details of the qualification criteria and how it works, unfortunately, I'm not aware. Yeah, but for us, the real nectar is not somaras; it is the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Somaras will burn sins and rejuvenate the body, gross and subtle. But the holy name will rejuvenate the soul and dissolve the gross and subtle body. That we can go back to God. Nama Chintamani. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Anything else? If not, we can end. So I'll see you on Tuesday, Krishna willing. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam. Hari Bol, Tarun Prabhu, Suraj, Sri Mataji, Pujaji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
You're driving.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Vinod, Hari Bol, Sridevi Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vinaji, Hare Krishna, Rita ji, Ankan, Ali, Anand Sundari Mataji, Sachi Prema Mataji. Thank you all. I'll see you on Tuesday. Yes.